I am so thrilled to be back with Lynn Watson. Lynn, it's been almost a year since we had you on last time talking about your first book, so let's jump in. Tell us what we're going to talk about today.
Well, we're going to talk about Frayed Promises, but we're going to talk about, I guess, the things that led up to that. So
Okay.
you have some specific questions maybe that would lead me into what to share first.
Well, Tangled Promises was your first book, and it's in
Right.
I'm going to get this right, this Promise, Promised Destiny series. That's the name of it, right?
Right.
Promised
Correct.
Destiny. So Tangled Promises was first, and it has won awards, which is a thrill. So there's just so much about you. You're a professional seamstress. You've done some cross-stitching patterns that have actually been published. Your husband is a graphic artist, and the two of you have designed your covers. So you also live in Tennessee. So it turns
I
out
do.
that I didn't realize that the first time we talked, but Lynn does live in Western Tennessee and I'm in Middle Tennessee, so we're not that far from each other. And and you said your kids live what, like 40 minutes from me. So we're going to get together for coffee sometime.
We are going to do that. We're going to
We're
make a
going to do
point.
that. Okay. So tell us about what led into Tangled Promises, and then now you have Frayed Promises. And 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 the frayed, I think in my mind, because I know you're a seamstress, phrase and stitching and all that. And tell us if your titles have anything to do with being a seamstress.
I don't know if the titles have anything to do with being a seamstress. I did that for a lot of years. Was able to stay home with my kids, and
Uh,
not have to pay a babysitter and all that kind of thing, which was, a great deal. I don't do that professionally anymore. I do the reflexology, which I've done for almost 18 years professionally now.
wow.
And yeah, I have a little tagline that says stepping through time, stitching stories of faith. And so the stories go back historically to my great grandmother, is where this first snippets, drips of, inspiration came from. Um, so that was in the stepping was the footsteps. In Eden is the name of my reflexology business. And I've done all the stitching and the faith. So stepping through time, stitching stories of faith is how
I
that
love
came about.
that. And this is obviously historical fiction.
This is historical fiction. The when I wrote Tangled Promises, I mean, I knew this much of my great grandmother's story. My grandmother had told me one time, she said, when my mom and dad married, she said, my dad told me I could use his last name because I didn't have a dad. And I had no idea how to respond to that. I was about 12 or 13 years old. And I wish so badly. I know that if I had asked questions, she would have answered them.
Hmm.
She wasn't going to just offer the whole story.
Isn't that frustrating when you go back? I think about, like, I lost my parents pretty young. My mom was only 69, and I never thought about end of life, even knowing she was dying of leukemia. I'm like, why did I not sit down with her and just drill her with all kinds of questions?
Questions. And so, fast forward a lot of years, in 2001, when my mom passed away and her oldest brother had passed away 3 weeks before her. There were
Oh,
10 children in the family. There was one left, and she was basically deaf and blind, so there was no communication. And one cousin told me that his sister told me he had done some poking around, and he had gone to this uncle and asked. And he said, yes, grandma was an illegitimate child. Yes, her mother was the daughter of a baron in Southwest Germany. She was in love with the carriage driver. He had an evil man he wanted her to marry, and she just did not want any part of it. And so she and the carriage driver played house.
wow.
And my grandmother was the result, and she was disowned and sent to America in
Wow. And tell me what
1882,
country that was. Where are they?
Southwest Germany.
Okay, Germany.
And And I was like, wow. Well, that's basically what we knew of the story. I mean, he was a baron, so the rules of nobility would have applied, and it would have been, a very shameful, disgraceful. He may have lost everything. So I sat on that for a lot of years, obviously. And when
That's
it finally came down to it, I'm like, okay, how can I take this story? How can I create a story around it? And then how can I honor her legacy, even in spite of, a poor decision on her part?
Well, how many of us have made poor decisions, and by the grace of
Exactly.
God, we don't live with the consequences of them all the time.
Right.
Wow.
And so all, generations, we're like, my kids and kids are like the sixth generation forward from that, and I've talked to some of the others that are from like my grandmother's sister. I've met some of her kids now, and it's just crazy. God just does amazing things. And so
Good.
that's how the first book is. It's a wild story. It's a wild ride. It's all made up, but except for the part about her and the carriage driver. And that was set the groundwork for book two. And in book two is where I really connected with the whole pro-life, pro-choice movement kind of thing. And I don't even know why it took God tapping me on the shoulder finally to say, hey, why are you not dedicating this book to Life Choices of Memphis, which is a ministry very dear to my heart. I've done volunteer work with them. And I said,
Mm.
I don't know, God, why am I not? And so I got in touch with them and we made a big connection. And I just had a reader, and one of my launch team start reading it this week. And she said to me, she said, I'm 2 chapters in. And she goes, oh my gosh, now I understand why you dedicated it to that organization,
Beautiful.
which is, to me was really an important, kind of move. And to hear that from somebody out on the outside. But that's been my goal. And basically the frayed more came from the fact that everything that she and Daniel in the first book have promised to each other just starts unraveling.
So is it the same are they the same characters in both books?
Some of them, and then there's additional characters.
Okay. And did you find it difficult or easy to launch into book two? Did you have ideas before you launched into it? Did you have both their series and do you have I know you have a book three coming. So
You have a book three coming, and God's finally given me a little bit more of that one in the last couple of days, thankfully. But
it takes faith,
mm,
doesn't it? I mean, you have to walk by faith and not rush ahead and try to
you really
do it.
do. It's been like,
Yeah.
got the beginning, and I know it's the right beginning because I know He gave me that. I know beyond a shadow of a doubt. Walking around in Lowe's one day, and it's
Just never
popped me in
know.
the head with something that was totally off the wall and out of place. But hey, I'm going, okay, I got it.
You never know where inspiration will strike, do you?
No, you really don't. And so after I had to stop working on that, now I want to be able to pick up those pieces here in a few more weeks. And so he's been giving me that. But as far as launching into book two, I knew where that needed to start. That needed to start on the page, that the last book left off. It was a satisfying, open-ended close to book one, satisfying to the reader, but open-ended. And so that's where I picked up and then I was able to just tell the story from there of, okay, this is what the result of that was, of her choice and the carriage driver, their choice. This was what happened. And okay, now God lets you and me make up the story and let's show that life is important because abortion was a real thing, even in, as far back in history as you can go.
Right,
Women knew how to get rid of babies. If they were inconvenient, they had too many children already, they couldn't afford it. It was going to mess with whatever other plans they had for their life. I mean, all the same reasons women do it,
right.
seek that out today. Pressure from other people, you know, pressure from the dad, pressure from family. And so I wanted to bring all that out. I wanted readers today to see that things were not that much different. But God does give, He does give impossibilities, beautiful endings, which is
So,
the tagline for the book. God gives impossibilities, beautiful endings.
so
So
this book is released, we're recording this ahead of time. This book releases on April 2nd, is that correct?
correct. April 2nd. I'm pa- I'm I'm trying to get that print version ready to go up. But what I want to do, and I want to show you this because this was kind of a cool thing. This is one, I don't know if it's showing up right. This is one
It
of the
is.
cross books we did years ago,
Oh,
Linen Butterfly Collection. And when we started doing the marketing, when I started creating the marketing stuff, and I'm going to see here if I can find a picture real quick for this book, I had a little background image, and I woke up one Sunday morning and looked at avid readers of Christian fiction, and somebody had grabbed my that same image, how it is in Pixabay or somewhere, and
hmm.
was using it. And so I thought, well, I can just switch, I'll do something different. So the background image that we ended up with, if you can see that, has got this butterfly and this sunflower. Sunflowers run throughout all three stories. Um,
Okay.
I don't know how well that's showing up, but
So Lynn is fortunate to have a graphic design husband that helps her with do her covers, which man, that would be nice.
Yeah, that is a real big blessing. It's huge. But anyway, so I started thinking, what could I do? Clara and her friend Megs, they're both stitchers. Rosa was a stitcher. I mean, there's a lot of people that do a lot of sewing and stitching in this book and in the other series, in the other book. And what could I do? And could I do a cross stitch design? Because there's been a resurgence of that here
Yeah,
recently.
yeah.
And so I was thinking, okay, well, this is kind of cool, this whole butterfly thing and butterfly and sunflower thing that you can't see very well because this rainbow keeps going over it. I'm
Well,
sorry.
and for those of you that aren't watching this on YouTube, you're really going to have a hard time. So maybe you
Yeah,
can
just
give,
just just go to my social media. It's all
I was
over my
going to say,
social
okay,
media.
we'll
Yeah,
we'll put that
you
social
can
media
see.
link in the show notes so people can
You
reach you
will.
there.
But anyway, I got to thinking about it and I thought, you know what? I think back in that butterfly book, which was one of about a dozen we did, there was a butterfly and a sunflower. And so I went looking, I found it. It's on the cover of the book. And I also found the original model that I had of
Oh.
it.
So
Um,
just so people are clear while we're talking about this, Lynn created cross stitch patterns, correct?
Correct. Steve did
And
the artwork and I made them into cross stitch patterns and stitched them out. And then
okay,
we put
so
them.
that's what those of you that are listening, she's showing us examples of this cross stitch pattern that play a part in her books as well.
So
So
what I
just to
did
clear it
is
up,
this isn't quite finished. I need to do a little more work on it. But I took it and I changed some of the colors.
very pretty.
And I've got the tagline, the God gives impossibilities beautiful endings, stitched up at the top. And what I'm going to do with this, and so people might want to sign up for my newsletter. This is going to go out to my newsletter people, but I'm also going to let it be. I'm wanting to get it done so I can put a black and white photo of it in the back of the book as a lead magnet for signing up for the newsletter.
So like they could have this cross stitch pattern and actually be able to
The
cross.
pattern, they'll get the pattern of it.
Oh, I'm that's worth it to me to sign up.
So yeah, that was
What a
that's where
great
I'm going.
idea. That's such a great idea, Lynn. That's so unique to use as a lead magnet.
It
I
is
love
unique.
that.
I
Well,
haven't
it's
seen that
unique and
before,
it's
but
people, there are a lot of crafty people. Like, I mean, my mom used to always do cross stitch and I've done some, it's just my hobby room is filled with all kinds of things that I start and stop. And I've got a half-made doll house. I've got yarn from learning how to knit and, card making. I've just so much stuff, not enough time.
I
But
have a
people
hooked
like,
rug my mom started when I was about 7, and it's still not finished because I
yeah,
never finished it. But
that's
it's
what
sitting in my
happens.
closet. I haven't had the heart to throw it away.
Get busy doing other things. There's only so much time. And I really feel like, and I'm sure you do too, when God calls us to do something where we put our time and energy, as much as that those things are so fun and fulfilling in a different way, you have to pick and choose because this is not a part-time job. This is not a part-time job. But by the time people out there, I don't think realize it's agonizingly slow to write. Sometimes some days are good, some days not so good. But then, there's blog posts and there's newsletters and there are social media posts and there are all the other things you have to do along with it
So
behind
much.
the back scenes of everything going on before we actually come out with that book.
So
So
much that people don't realize. The marketing, everything falls on the author.
it
And
does.
that's true whether you're traditionally published or whether you're
Absolutely.
independently
Absolutely.
published like we are. I mean, it's challenging.
And then you got to pick and choose which things are going to work and which things aren't. You listen to one person says, I know a really well-read popular author and he's incredible. He'll talk to people about what he does and he teaches at all these conferences. His name is Vincent Davis. He doesn't do social media. He does all on learn how to do Amazon ads properly and using keywords, and that's all he does. And he does really well. So just trying to pick what fits your personality, you know?
Which is what I was going to say. Not everything
Yeah.
works for everybody.
No.
And
But you
I
got to
would
try
like to
things
learn more
out.
about Amazon ads.
Well, you and I'll talk because actually have a book on it, and Dave Chesson, Kindlepreneur. Have you heard of him?
Oh, I have the rocket on my
Okay, yeah, I published a
computer.
rocket, and he also is the one who created Atticus, which is the formatting program I'm using now. He does a whole free class on Amazon ads, teaches you how to do
I have
everything.
to check that
And
out.
there is also a book by a man named Brian Cohen who has a book on doing them. He was supposed to do a class in January, then he said he was doing it in February and still hasn't come up, but he did send me his book. So that will tell you also how to do Amazon ads. There's some, it's hard to learn, I think. It takes some time to really get in there, but once you have it down, you'll be doing a lot less of that than all the, and social media, to be honest, I don't think it sells books. I really don't.
I just think it keeps up the rapport between,
Yes.
a relationship, a rapport between you and your readers.
Yes.
They look for it, they want to know you. At
Yes.
least I think they want to know us. I mean, that's the impression I get, And so it's an opportunity to do that. It's an opportunity
Yes.
to show who you are besides just your books.
But
And
if you're doing it to sell books, I think we're being misguided. I think we need to do that because like on my readers group, I have a prayer request every week. I do put some of that stuff on there, but there's always a fun thing. There's something else just to engage readers. It's not about selling books. It really
well,
is.
and right now I am on my social media. I do have, a QR code on my and images with pull quotes and different things that I put up. And,
Right.
yes, it's coming out April 2nd. And here's a link, which I think you do need to do that too.
I
But
do. But see, I haven't because you're indie published, you can put QR codes up there. You have it all
right.
down. I'm still learning all the ins and outs. It's a process, that's for sure. So,
And so another good thing for me has been right now, and I just can't say enough. Life Choices of Memphis is a pregnancy medical
Enter.
clinic. It's free of charge to
Yep.
all the women that come. It's one of the top in the country. And I'm not just saying that, they have statistics to show it. They do such an incredible job. And as having volunteered with them, well, actually, I was doing reflexology for some of their moms who chose life
Oh,
and
nice.
are in these little mentoring groups. And then their schedule and my schedule didn't mesh after a while. We just had a parting and on that part of it. But when it came down to it, I said this, and God told me to do this. And so I got in touch and we've done it, but we're putting their name on everything, and we're putting that, a portion of the royalties will go to them, and they're taking it out everywhere they can. And so I'm tagging them, and I'm hoping, I just want things like that, and women who really need to hear this message, a
Right.
life-affirming message,
Absolutely.
that there is hope at the end, beyond what you see today. There's still hope for the
Absolutely.
future.
And then I think most towns, even we're in Cornersville now, but we even our little town of Lewisburg, where we moved from, we support the pregnancy center there, and the heart of the people that are in those places really working. I think it's critical. I think most of you all listening could probably find if you want to support in some way um, these life choices and the hard things that some of these people are going through. It's just such a wickedness when you see them. I don't know. Maybe I should. I don't want to get political, but when I hear people celebrating full-term abortion, it makes me want to throw up. It absolutely makes me want to throw up. It's like I don't get on board with abortion at all, but when you consider a full-term baby and they're saying it's abortion, I don't see how that's even possible. So enough of that. I'm not going to get on the political realm because
Yeah, I don't want, didn't want to get on the political spectrum with
but
it. I want to
but I
say this
think
is,
it's important. Your book is part of that within that theme. You have that theme, so it's important to note. So tell us, can you even read maybe the back cover copy of Frayed Promises? Do you have a copy available,
I
or maybe?
do. Give me a minute. I
Okay.
think I can pull it up on here without you losing me. Let me,
Well, I won't lose your sound, so. But anyway, it's just nice, I think, and I will put of the blurb. I did this with your last book too. I will put the back cover copy blurb in the show notes so people can read it when they are after they listen to
what
the.
I need to do is I need to go to Amazon and pull it up because I've tweaked it so much. I want to make sure I give you what you want. Am I
So
still there?
you're still here. So while she's doing that, people, just stick with us here. She's gonna. I kind of gave her. I should have told you that ahead of time, and you would have been prepared.
Yeah, if I
But
had, no,
But anyway, so I love the premise of your books. I love that you are digging into some deep, hard stuff. I think people need hope in the hard things. And when I write, I really try to bring some hard stuff in there because we can get so bogged down and lose hope when things don't quite go how we
well,
think
and
they go.
And you know what? Amazon's giving me a little bit of fits here this
Don't worry
morning.
about it, Lynn. Don't worry about it. I don't want to
We're
stress you.
gonna get there. Just give me another second here.
Okay.
It just what it did is it showed me a whole bunch of books, and then when I went to click on mine, it decided to be ugly.
Oh, see, that's a Southern word there, people. Ugly. It doesn't mean the same thing it means in like California. It's a whole different word. It's a good word. Okay.
Well, we
I
may or may not get, we're gonna have to go and just, I'm just gonna have to
what
go to,
you want to just tell us about it?
I would like to read it to you, but I'm just having some issues. And I'm gonna go to my iPad here and see if I can make that do better and bring Zoom back up. So there we are. Let me just go to, let me go to it on here. Um,
So just and I don't know if you
I'm
brought
going from directly from a link now. I'm not going to go searching for
okay.
it. Plus, I can still look at you and still read this.
I'm going to edit out all the quiet here. I'll edit all this part out so we're not.
Okay. Frayed Promises, a life-affirming novel and sequel to BookFest award-winning Tangled Promises. Her grandmother's last warning spins like a tempest, threatening to shipwreck their joy and fray every promise they have made. Clara and Daniel Becker married secretly, circumventing nobility's rules. When denial no longer serves her, how does Clara hide the truth of their wedding night conception and their nuptials from her father, the Baron? If Fadi sends her away, Daniel promises to follow. Unexpected circumstances bring them face to face with the words of Proverbs 16:20. A man's heart deviseth his way, but the Lord directeth his steps. Will Clara and Daniel trust the path ahead? Where will God lead? Um, the whole collection is gonna appeal to readers that are looking for not only mystery and romance, but for clean, faith-filled stories where characters face formidable challenges and societal pressures with courage and put hope and trust in God amidst their struggles. And
Yes.
personally, I looked for a long time for comps, and I I really and truly believe that books by Tracy Peterson or Anne Gabhart are probably along the same kinds of lines of this. And then I haven't put it in here yet, I just realized, but the tagline for the whole thing is God gives impossibilities beautiful endings.
And you do have your books are on KU, Kindle Unlimited.
They are on KU.
Okay, that's important to point out. I like to do that every time because I'm a KU girl. I like having KU because I am cheap or
I
frugal.
do not have KU, and I keep wondering sometimes if it would be better, but then a lot of books that I want aren't on KU.
Oh, I haven't. Every book I have, almost every book that I talk about on here are on KU. And so I see a lot of them. But, another way,
And you don't have to leave that in there.
just as an aside, another
Yeah,
thing, people that really like to read and you want to get some freebies, I signed up for BookFunnel. If you sign up and put the books you want, they have ads coming out every single day. In fact, one of my books ended up on a BookFunnel ad a while back, but not BookFunnel, I'm sorry, BookBub, a BookBub. If you sign up for BookBub, they have ads. You put in there what books you like. They will send you ads. Now, some of them are 99 cents, some of them are $1.99, but there are always free books.
there
Always.
are. And on that note, I want to add, in order for an author to put a book up on a special like that, you have to have 1,000 followers. As of today, I have 988. I'm 12 short
So is that you have to have 1,000 followers on what?
on BookBub in order for them to allow you to place those ads.
Is that as an indie author? Because I was on a BookBub ad and I did not have that many followers.
Really?
Hmm.
Hmm.
But I was not, I was traditionally published, but I was on BookBub and I had,
Maybe that's it, traditionally published. I don't know, but I went in and I tried to do something and it said you had to have 1,000 followers. Now, that's not to say that they won't send this out to the people who said they want to see my things. They'll
well,
send it out when it releases. But yeah,
if you were to go on there and ask for it's a feature ad that you pay for. Okay. I didn't have that many followers. So anyway, just a thought. I did mine every month for it took me 3 years almost to get a BookBub ad. I finally got it. So anyway, that aside, we're excited about this book coming out. I cannot wait to read it. I'm so glad it's on KU because I am frugal that way. It's worth it to me to pay 13 bucks a month to be able to download books when I see them and I want them, and I don't have to wait for them or pay for them. So I do pay for them, but just a different way. Lynn, it's been
Right.
such a pleasure. I'm excited to hear how Frayed Promises does. And your next book, do you have a title for it yet? The book three?
Planted Promises.
Awesome. So I hope you'll come back and we'll talk about Planted Promises when that one gets ready to release.
I will. And your books are on KU also.
They are on KU. Yes.
We need
Yeah.
to make a point to readers that authors get paid on KU books by the number of pages you read. So even if you don't want to finish the book, if you decide you don't like it,
Flip through
whatever,
it.
flip through it. Please flip through
Okay,
it.
I didn't bring that up this time because I people hear ad nauseum. I say that every single time. People are worried that authors are not getting paid when they get a book by KU, but oftentimes authors get more money by KU than they do when you buy the book. So that
Right.
being the thank you for that. I didn't even pay you for that little
No, you
promo.
didn't.
So it's been a pleasure, Lynn, as usual. Can't wait till we're
Same
going to meet
here.
up for coffee in Spring Hill one of these days soon.
Absolutely.
Okay, God bless you and thank
Thank you. You as well.
you. Bye.
Bye bye.